Welcome to Science and Technology Briefing. The content of the briefing includes: climate change is still the top issue in the 2024 election. Did Israel bomb a civilian evacuation route in Gaza? St. John Dad's book features science experiments for quality time with kids. AI will be critical for the future of rural healthcare in Canada, experts say. Wall Street Journal Tech Live 2023, OpenAI's Sam Altman, Meta's Chris Cox, Arnold Schwarzenegger and John Legend to headline. Climate change is still the top issue in the 2024 election. Hill. The impact of global warming on the planet is an urgent issue that needs to be addressed by politicians and voters alike, according to William Becker, Executive Director of the Presidential Climate Action Project. Becker argues that global warming is a scientific problem, not a matter of beliefs or politics, and should be treated as such. He points out that efforts to politicize the issue have been successful, with the fossil energy industry and its Republican allies working to cast doubt on climate science. Becker suggests that the politicization of global warming has hindered meaningful action on the issue for the past 30 years. He calls on voters to make the upcoming 2024 election a referendum on global warming and urges politicians to prioritize the issue. Becker also highlights the hidden costs of fossil fuel subsidies, which he argues are far greater than the incentives for clean energy. He emphasizes that the costs of fossil fuels, such as damage to public health and the environment, are not reflected in market prices. Becker concludes that global warming is a pressing crisis that must be urgently addressed before it causes irreparable damage to the planet. Did Israel bomb a civilian evacuation route in Gaza? Financial Times. 2 explosions in Gaza on Friday destroyed multiple cars driving along one of the enclave's main roads, according to videos verified by the Financial Times. The videos show the aftermath of the explosions on Salah ad-Din Street, which Israel had designated a safe route for civilians to evacuate the area. Hamas has blamed Israel for the attack, claiming that over 70 people were killed and 200 injured. However, Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Conricus, a spokesman for the Israeli Defense Forces, IDF, denied the allegations, stating that the IDF did not strike any location and that Hamas was using the deaths of Palestinian civilians for political purposes. The available evidence is unclear, but analysis of the video footage seems to rule out most explanations aside from an Israeli strike. The explosions occurred just a day after Israel ordered 1.1 million civilians to leave northern Gaza. Tensions between Israel and Palestine have escalated in recent weeks, with Israeli airstrikes targeting Hamas targets in Gaza and Hamas launching rockets into Israel. St. John Dad's book features science experiments for quality time with kids. CBC. A software engineer from New Brunswick has written a book to help new dads answer their children's questions. J.P. Marin, who moved to St. John from Mexico City 5 years ago, has written 100 questions every dad should know the answer to, which is available on Amazon. The book includes questions about why the sky is blue, why water is wet and why people yawn. Marin, who has a 2-year-old son, said being a dad had been a great experience, but he also found it challenging. AI will be critical for the future of rural healthcare in Canada, experts say. CBC. Artificial intelligence, AI, is set to revolutionize healthcare in Canada, with rural areas set to gain the most from the technology. AI will help healthcare providers by streamlining paperwork, assisting with staff scheduling and providing more accurate diagnoses from digital images such as X-rays and MRI scans. Healthcare practitioners will be able to use AI as a clinical vision support system to gain additional insights and information when interacting with patients. The technology will be particularly beneficial in rural areas where resources are limited and there are fewer staff and specialists. AI is also being used in Australia to help remote communities, where there is a lack of experts to provide medical care. However, there are concerns about cybersecurity, safety, regulation, and the impact on jobs. The technology will require regulation and oversight, and it will not replace humans but instead assist them. Wall Street Journal Tech Live 2023, OpenAI's Sam Altman, Meta's Chris Cox, Arnold Schwarzenegger and John Legend to headline. Wall Street Journal. The Wall Street Journal's annual Tech Live conference will focus on the impact of artificial intelligence, AI, on business, technology, and policymaking. The conference will include interviews with AI leaders such as OpenAI founder Sam Altman. The event will also address the uncertain geopolitical landscape, particularly the ongoing conflict between Hamas and Israel, which has been a tech hub for many years. Top executives in technology and entertainment will offer their perspectives on these issues and discuss their implications for the year ahead. It is time to rethink your media subscriptions. Wall Street Journal. The cost of major streaming services has risen by about 25% over the past year or so, and companies are already planning future increases. In order to save money and make sure you're getting your money's worth, it's important to stress test your streaming mix and assess which services you really use. Consider canceling or downgrading subscriptions that you don't use often enough to justify the cost. Remember to check for redundant subscriptions and use free or ad-supported services when possible. These companies are being squeezed by higher rates. Wall Street Journal. The recent surge in interest rates is causing financial difficulties for companies with low credit ratings. Many of these companies issued speculative, floating rate debt when interest rates were low, but the rates on their loans are now resetting, resulting in higher interest expenses. This is expected to continue to cut into their profits. The rise in interest rates is impacting companies such as PowerSchool and Cooper Standard, which have seen their interest expenses rise, leading to net losses. The financing environment is also getting tougher for lower-rated bond issuers, making it more expensive for them to sell new bonds or refinance old ones. Why the U.S. government has $5 billion in Bitcoin. Wall Street Journal. The U.S. government, which holds around 200,000 Bitcoin seized from cybercriminals, is in no hurry to sell the cryptocurrency. Seizures of Bitcoin can take years to process, and the government is set on selling at fair market value. The U.S. Marshals Service aims to avoid adversely affecting the market by liquidating the Bitcoin over a longer period. To date, the U.S. government has sold around 20,000 Bitcoin, worth more than $5 billion, but the size of the total stash is thought to be much larger. Well, folks, that's all the news we have for today. Climate change continues to be a hot topic in the 2024 election, with calls for urgent action to address global warming. In the midst of this, there are reports of an alleged bombing of a civilian evacuation route in Gaza, raising tensions between Israel and Palestine. On a lighter note, a dad from St. John has written a book to help new dads answer their children's questions, and experts say that artificial intelligence will play a critical role in the future of rural healthcare in Canada. And speaking of AI, the Wall Street Journal's Tech Live conference will focus on the impact of AI on business and policy making. Lastly, it might be time to rethink your media subscriptions, as the cost of streaming services continues to rise. And did you know that the US government holds billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin seized from cybercriminals? They're in no rush to sell it, though. Now, let's dive a little deeper into these stories. Climate change remains a pressing issue, and it's refreshing to hear William Becker emphasizing that it's a scientific problem, not a matter of beliefs or politics. The politicization of global warming has hindered progress for far too long, and it's time for voters to make it a priority in the upcoming election. Moving on to the situation in Gaza, the alleged bombing of a civilian evacuation route is a serious matter. While the evidence is not conclusive, it's concerning to see tensions escalating between Israel and Palestine. Let's hope for a peaceful resolution to this conflict. On a lighter note, kudos to J.P. Marin for writing a book to help dads bond with their kids through science experiments. Being a dad is challenging, but it's also a great experience, and finding quality time with our children is always a win. Now, let's talk about AI and its potential in healthcare. It's exciting to see how AI can revolutionize rural healthcare in Canada, where resources are limited. The ability to streamline paperwork, assist with diagnoses, and provide additional insights will undoubtedly improve the quality of care in these areas. Of course, there are concerns about cybersecurity and job impact, but with proper regulation and oversight, AI can be a valuable tool for healthcare practitioners. And finally, it's time to reassess our media subscriptions. With the rising costs of streaming services, it's important to stress test our subscriptions and make sure we're getting our money's worth. Cancel or downgrade those subscriptions that aren't being used enough, and take advantage of free or ad-supported services when possible. Alright, folks, that's all from me today. I hope you enjoyed our little news roundup. Remember, I'm always here to keep you informed and entertained. Now, it's your turn. What are your thoughts on these stories? Do you have any questions or perspectives to share? The floor is yours, so let's hear it. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6 do brief via email.